So here I am minding my own damn business on a Thursday night, because I'm an angel and I never do anything wrong. And people start tweeting me an InfoWars video. It turns out they decided to strike back. Now, it wasn't Alex Jones, although he'd be well within his rights to strike back himself because I go after him probably once a week. But it was a B-level InfoWars host. I had done a video recently going after this guy because he did a segment where he thought it was cute and he thought his his word game was clever, and he went after Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez by comparing them to ticks. And he said that we need to eradicate the blood-sucking parasites. Now, in the video, he's only referring to ticks, but, you know, he happens to show a picture of Bernie Sanders on the screen, a picture of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and he rants against socialists and clearly is comparing them. So I went after him because he deserved it. So I'm going to go ahead and play this video for you here. We'll pause as we go along, doing this old school style, low quality. I'm just going to turn my camera phone here, and you guys can see it, and let's break it down.
Hello, my name is Harrison Smith, and I am the victim of a vicious leftist socialist smear, and I'm here to...
We are 13 seconds in. You already have multiple factual errors. You're not a victim. What happened? I thought that you guys were against victim culture on the right. That's what you tell me all the time. You say, oh my God, it's the left-wingers. They do the oppression Olympics and they all think they're victims. Don't be a victim. You have to change the narrative. So now all of a sudden it's cool and it's in vogue and it's fashionable when you decide you're the victim? And also, I'm not a socialist, so factually wrong. As we watch here, you're going to realize something. He didn't actually watch the full video of me going after him. But nonetheless, he proceeds to strawman me and attack arguments I didn't make. So pretty much what you'd expect from InfoWars. Let's continue.
Set the record straight. It all started about a week ago, maybe a little more, when I made a frankly hilarious and insightful video where I was basically just reading a story about ticks while I had images pop up of socialists. So, of course, I was describing the way that ticks are blood-sucking monsters and that we need to do everything we can to get rid of them, that they provide nothing and exist solely to drain lifeblood from their hosts. Now, if you watched this and had a fully developed brain, you understood that this was jaw-droppingly insightful and hilarious. However, I had a rude awakening when one day I get on Twitter and I'm being accused of calling for genocide. I'm being told that people are calling the FBI on me. They're calling me a murderer.
First of all, I have no clue if what you're saying here is true. Did anybody call the FBI on you? I have no idea. Would you take the word of an InfoWars host without evidence? I certainly wouldn't. Now, if there are people who call the FBI on you, I don't agree with that. If there are people that accuse you of being a murderer, I don't agree with that either. However, not sure I believe you. I think you're full of shit. Because your segment, it wasn't funny, but that's not me saying it from like a, oh my God, I'm so offended and so triggered by your segment perspective. That's me saying it from, I looked at your analysis, I looked at the word game you were playing, how you were showing pictures of politicians and comparing them to blood-sucking ticks and saying we should, quote, eradicate them. And I said, oh, well, that's a really shitty message. And if you put the shoe on the other foot and there's some left-winger and they do a comparable video of that where they talk about Republicans or they even talk about the far right, they talk about Tea Party members, they talk about fascists, they talk about whatever, anarcho-capitalists, and they compare them to parasites and they say we should probably eradicate people with this ideology, pretty sure you would respond also. And you would be correct to do so. Because that rhetoric is dumb. That's why I called you out, because it's dumb. Not only is it dangerous because there aren't the brightest people in the world watching InfoWars, it's flat out dumb. Let's continue.
I'm advocating for whole-scale slaughter of innocents. Well, no,
Why'd you say eradicate the blood-sucking ticks? Why eradicate? And that's not the only thing you said either. In fact, I'll leave a link to that video in the video description box, the original video, so you can see exactly how terrible his argument is and exactly how close it is to incitement. Now, I'm a free speech absolutist, so would I ban your channel, give you a strike over that video? No. But again, that's because I'm a free speech absolutist. But you can't pretend like that video is not close to incitement and, did I say eradicate them and then show pictures of Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and say that we should, eliminate and eradicate the socialists? No, you don't get to play that game, bitch. You don't get to play that game. If you said it, own up to it. And when you get called out, respond like an adult. You don't straw man in response like you're about to do right now, or play dumb like me. Did I make that argument?
This is all a vicious smear by a man named Kyle Kulinski from Secular Talk. And a little language warning. Socialists are often crude creatures, and he begins his segment with a word that I won't utter.
The dude was talking about eradicating blood-sucking ticks, who are the people who don't share his political ideology. But we found something that offends him. It's naughty language. It's naughty language. Sir, you have breached decorum. Don't you know it is immoral to make weird, mean noises with your mouth that we've determined are unacceptable words in polite society? All of a sudden you wanna be polite and pretend like you give a shit about decorum? These guys are so full of shit, man. They're so full of shit. He's acting. He's playing a character, which is why I probably shouldn't even be wasting my time responding.
Well, let's go to that clip now, shall we?
So one of the shittier InfoWars hosts decided it was a good idea to, do a casual, nonchalant segment advocating for genocide.
That's right.
Now,
That's
you might
exactly
think
right.
this is hyperbole. I wish it was hyperbole. It's not hyperbole. Take a look.
This is Harrison Smith for InfoWars.com. The topic of our story today is an unpleasant one. It's parasites, bugs, ticks, to be precise. The headline is from Wired. We have no idea how bad the U.S. tick problem is. Now, ticks are parasites. They provide nothing. They simply find a host, a productive host, to leech off of, and they suck their lifeblood, their energy, and take it to themselves, providing the host with nothing, often leaving the host diseased and with you can go ahead and pull that down.
Yeah, pull it down as your own words 100% prove my point. Oh, is that the picture of Bernie Sanders on the screen as I'm talking about blood-sucking ticks who are leeches and who are a waste to society and we should get rid of them? Yeah, pull it down because it's 100% proving him correct.
Clearly a joke, clearly...
Clearly. I'm sure you guys were laughing your ass off as you watched that.
At least attempting to be funny. And you would think...
At least he's acknowledging he ain't funny.
This guy, Kyle, from Secular Talk, would be able to understand this. But you have to remind yourself that this is a guy that still thinks socialism is a good idea. So
wrong. I don't agree with that. I've stated repeatedly, I believe in social democracy, which is very distinct from socialism, and you would know that if you were a total douche weasel and an idiot. And furthermore, I don't give a shit if you were trying to joke or not. I'm responding to the substance of what you were saying. If there's a comedian, and the comedian is making a joke where there's an underlying point that they're trying to get at, and I disagree with that underlying point, I might make a video calling that person out and saying, here's why I disagree with the point you were making. Joke or not. Because that's what I do. I'm a commentator. I break stuff down. Stuff that's either interesting or weird or scary or newsworthy. And this certainly was that. You have millions and millions of subscribers on InfoWars, and you're casually talking about how we should eradicate the blood-sucking ticks like Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. So let's continue.
Really no telling what sort of nonsense that this guy believes. And there are a couple things I'd like to I'd like to talk about. I'd like to respond to his vicious and
so vicious,
lying defamation.
Lying defamation? These guys are the worst snowflakes. Again, instead of responding like an adult and going point by point or saying, hey man, here's our disagreement, lying defamation. I played almost your entire fucking clip and responded to it. Lying defamation. Accurately quoting you is lying defamation? Snowflakes! Run to your fucking safe space, man. Jesus.
I was not calling for genocide. I was talking about ticks. Okay?
Oh, okay.
And I want to get rid of socialists by convincing them that they're dumb. Okay?
Oh, so the thing that you didn't do in the video is the thing that you were trying to do in the video. When you talk about eradicating the blood-sucking ticks, what you really meant was, through logical argumentation, show them that they're wrong. Well, that's weird. If you were going to go down that road, why didn't you, through logical argumentation, show them that they're wrong in your video? Oh, you didn't do that? Because that's not the fucking point of the video. The point was to compare socialists, Bernie Sanders, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who, by the way, are not even actual socialists, to parasites, to leeches, to useless people in society who need to be eradicated. See, you pin them down and quote them with their own fucking words, and then they move the goalposts. Oh, me? I didn't say that. What I meant to say was I wanted to show them how dumb they are, which is why in the video I didn't show them how dumb they are, and I compared them to parasites and did... By the way, same tactic. Now, I don't think this guy is, a Nazi, okay? But that is the same tactic that was used by the Nazis. Again, I don't think he's a Nazi. I think that would be far too harsh. I think he's just a silly person, okay? Let me be clear about that. But that's the exact same tactic that was used by Nazis. Go back and read the history and look at what they said about Jews. They compared them to leeches, to parasites, to fleas, to, vermin. This is what the literature shows. So forgive me for running a clip where it's your own words and then responding to it in a logical way. I know that triggers you.
That's how I want to rid the world of socialists. And honestly, I could just not do anything, because the pattern of the world is that if you just leave socialists to their own devices, they all die.
Not true.
Right? So pretty much any country in the world that has gone over to socialism has become a hellhole of death and misery. I don't want that. I want to see my socialist brothers and sisters thrive and graduate to a level of capitalism that will ensure the continuation of life on Earth.
Now, note for the record, this is not what he did in that video. Now he's saying that this is what he believes. Okay, well, you should have said this then. You didn't say this then. If you said this then, I wouldn't have made a fucking video responding to you. So, again, they just changed the conversation. By the way, this is the oldest trick in the book. They always say, oh, name a place it's worked. Well, first of all, none of us are actually promoting socialism. Myself, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Bernie Sanders. But if you want us to point to a place where our philosophy works, Scandinavia. How many times have I done this? I did this in the fucking video that you're responding to, but you didn't watch the full thing, so you didn't hear it. So now you're going to make an ass of yourself, straw-manning me, and then knocking down the straw man.
Where I'm coming from. It's a place of love. But I did want to bring up this very interesting story while we're talking about this. This is from Yale. Smart guys over there. Even 4-year-olds dislike freeloaders. It says children as young as age 4 express dislike of and are willing to punish those who freeload off the work of other group members, a new Yale University study has found.
So you see what he's doing here now? Oh, Kyle, you're so stupid. Even 4-year-olds dislike freeloaders. Now, obviously, your ideology involves freeloading. No, it doesn't. It's called the commons. It's called every single developed society, every single first world civilization on this planet has some level of government. Is it freeloading when we build roads? Is it freeloading when we have cops? Is it freeloading when we have the fire department? Is it freeloading when we have a military? Is it freeloading when we have public infrastructure? Are all these things freeloading? Is grandma freeloading when she's on Medicaid or Medicare? Is that what's happening? Is Social Security freeloading? Now, my answer to all those questions is no. Because in a rational society, what you do is you say, the question isn't whether we should or shouldn't have government. The question is, how much government? Where's the line? How much in taxes should we pay? What services should be given? And a reasonable society takes certain things and moves them to the side and says, these are taken care of. You know, healthcare is a perfect example of something that should be taken care of. Education, to a certain extent, already is taken care of. Not higher education. That's one of the things we're fighting for, is to make it the same as it would be for public high school, for example, for college. So that's not freeloading. That's not freeloading. In fact, it's almost like you're begging to be a sucker, because we already pay taxes. What you want to do is pay your taxes to the government and then say, okay, take my money and go away. Like you're appeasing them, like they're the mafia or something. Whereas my philosophy is, if I'm going to pay taxes, and again, in every developed society they pay taxes, I want something for that money. I want education. I want healthcare. I want a New Deal and an infrastructure bill. I want to change our infrastructure from a grade of D+, which is what we get right now according to the Society of Civil Engineers, and make it an A. So you think you're arguing for a reasonable position. Actually, you're arguing for a really dumb position, because you're defining basic government action and the bare minimum, bare necessities, you're defining that as freeloading, which again is stupid, because under your society, you pay taxes and then you just say, okay, government, take my money and go away. Whereas I believe when you pay taxes, you should fucking get something for it. But here we go, more of the straw man. He thinks that we believe in freeloading, and he thinks that, oh, you got me. Oh, even 4-year-olds dislike freeloaders, so you get it, Kyle? That means you're dumber than a 4-year-old. God, man. You work at Alex Jones' InfoWars. You have an opportunity to be the least shitty host there. Wouldn't be that hard to be the least shitty host there. But somehow, you are.
Which is surprising, because the question's often been asked, is this a learned ideology? Is this a learned fact that you should treat others, you should work for what you're given, and that others should work for what they're given? Well, it turns out that no, it's something intrinsic within us that says that socialism is stupid. It turns out that even 4-year-olds with their underdeveloped frontal lobe, with their extreme lack of experience in the real world, even these, the most unintelligent, you could say, among us, the youngest, the least developed, even they recognize that socialism does not work and is not good and should not be allowed to continue. So it's surprising to me that we have so many people that, if I'm being honest, I've actually watched Secular Talk before. I've liked some of his segments. The guy's not partisan. He's not afraid to go after Democrats or Republicans or anybody. I've watched videos of his and liked them. So it was such a surprise to me to see that
I accurately called out your bitch-ass video that sucked terribly. Shouldn't be a surprise to you. If I'm not afraid to call everybody out, I'm definitely not afraid to call your ass out. And okay, you want to play nice? Let's play nice. There was a time when Alex Jones used to talk about the Patriot Act and talk about how terrible that was. He talked about NSA spying. Talk about how terrible that was. He used to talk about wars and talk about how these are wars of aggression that we shouldn't be involved in and we should get out of them. Those were the good old days, weren't they? When Alex Jones made sense 42% of the time. Those days are long gone. Now he talks about fucking demons more than he talks about the Patriot Act. Isn't that embarrassing? You work for a guy who thinks demons are real, and he talks about it almost on a daily basis. I know, because I've covered the stories. Damn, man. Why did you do this? Why did you respond? You know you shouldn't have done this.
he would not only pretend not to understand that I was joking, present my video as if...
I don't care if you were joking. Joking or not, I'm responding to the underlying point. Dumbass. I'm sorry, I forgot. I can't curse because this is something that triggers this guy. And naturally, he'll use the fact that I use naughty language to dismiss all of the accurate things I'm saying.
Serious. Tell all of his fans, this guy at InfoWars is calling for genocide.
Because you
say,
were.
Oh, he made a bad joke that could be construed as... No, he said, this InfoWars host is calling for genocide.
Because you did. You want to eradicate the blood-sucking ticks. That's what you want to do. You want to eliminate the leeches. That's what you want to do. That's not me saying it. That's what you said. It's in your video as you show pictures of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Bernie Sanders. Son, listen. I know Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I know her. She was one of the first Justice Democrats. This is somebody I know. So when you casually show pictures of her on the screen as you talk about eradicating the blood-sucking ticks, yeah, I'm going to respond. And it shouldn't just be me responding. That's something that should be highlighted by more than just me. Because there's millions of subscribers on Alex Jones' channel. That's where this was posted. And you think that's not reckless? You think that doesn't deserve a response? Joke or not. Again, I'm not triggered by it. I'm not calling for, your channel to be taken down over it. But I'm going to check your ass. And if there's anything that's missing over there on InfoWars, it's somebody checking their ass and letting them know that, this is like a fucking cult. It's like a fundamentalist religion. It's like whoever could say the dumbest thing is the one who gets the most attention over there. And that's a goddamn shame because it's portrayed like you're truth tellers or something, which is laughable.
Now, a bunch of people think that I was actually calling for genocide and actually trying to get a bunch of people murdered. So I guess, either way, either he is that dumb, which, again, evidenced by his desire to see the world collapse into socialist hellhole, or he knows it was a joke.
By the way, could we just take a second to laugh at how much social media interaction he got there? I don't know if you could see it, but there's 7 responses, 0 retweets, and 0 likes. Hilarious.
And
that's the best thing I've ever seen. Yeah, I'm gonna own this guy. Anyway, what? People are responding to me and telling me I'm a douchebag? What?
And was just lying about me and lying about what I was trying to do and just trying...
I'm lying? Again, you go watch that video, guys. You tell me the most straightforward interpretation of it, joke or not. Again, I don't give a shit whether you're joking or not, dude. I don't give a shit whether you're joking or not. I'm going to respond to the underlying point there. Now, you could say, oh my God, you're too literal-minded, and, it definitely was a joke, even though you didn't take it that way. Okay, fair enough. But I still would have made the exact same video, and I still would have called you out in the exact same way, because I'm correct.
To make InfoWars look bad. I wonder if he's not paid to make InfoWars look bad, because if you go...
What? Well, first of all, this is my job. This is what I do for a living. By the way, patreon.com/seculartalk if you like what you see. But is he trying to do a nice George Soros thing here? Because that's their go-to, The issue is whenever it's talking about anything left of center, scream Venezuela, as this guy has done already like 42 times. And that's the other trick is you've been fun George Soros. You're not a real person making good points that are obviously better than mine. Something, you're funded by George Soros. Are you paid to respond? I mean, obviously my video was super shitty and you destroyed it, but are you paid to do that?
His YouTube channel, about every 5th video is about InfoWars and about Alex. Oh, look how cool that guy is.
I know.
Man, I should gel my hair into spikes and get thick-rimmed glasses. What am I doing here? And wearing a t-shirt, a neon t-shirt under a jacket, this guy is just a paragon of fashion, I tell you what.
I know.
Which is another thing that basically all of his comments about my video were about my incredibly stylish and forward-thinking shirt.
Good.
They just aren't ready for.
Good.
I'm sorry, I'm just too progressive for these people. But back to this article. Children from ages 4 to 10 were presented with scenarios in which they had to give up chocolates in order to get cake, or plant seeds in a garden to get tomatoes.
All right, is this almost
All children
over?
expressed dislike for those who did not contribute and were even willing to give up stickers to punish them. They were willing to suffer themselves to punish the freeloaders. The youngest subjects exhibited a stronger aversion to free riders than 9 and 10-year-olds. Well, what's happened in 9 or 10? Well, you've already had at least 4 or 5 years of government indoctrination in the elementary schools, and you have had this natural desire to see people work for what they've earned, or earn what they get, to work for what they receive. Well, that's been pounded out of them.
Look at the caricature they've set up of people that are to the left of them. I mean, look at this. They think like we don't believe in a meritocracy. We don't believe that you should keep what you earn or work your way up a ladder. and we don't believe in work ethic. Like, we want everybody to sit on the couch and make $300,000 a year or something preposterous like that. I mean, it's an amazing straw man, because I've repeated time and time again on my show that I actually believe in a meritocracy. But see, the problem is this: we don't have equal opportunity. The whole point of this new populist left movement, certainly my conception of it is, let's give people equal opportunity. In order to get equal opportunity, you can't worry about going bankrupt over a medical bill. You can't have over $1 trillion, $1.4 trillion in student loan debt in this country. So this is what we're talking about. Give people an equal opportunity. Give them a fair shot so that then they can make it. Whereas now we have people, for example, working full time and they don't make enough money to survive. We don't even have a living wage in this country. That's the stuff we're arguing for. But Dickie McGeezax here decides, it's easier to just straw man us and say, oh, they don't believe, they're for freeloading. They don't believe that, it should be a meritocracy. We actually do believe that. You just ain't listening.
Even to a large extent, even just by the time that they're 9 or 10 years old. I have one other image I'd like to show you, because Kyle Kulinski was very mad that I brought up Venezuela. He said this is just it's a stupid talking point that the gosh darn Republicans always bring up as if it's brilliant. They bring up Venezuela as if it's some sort of, keystone to their argument. And he just acts like it's some sort of stupid talking point that doesn't have any actual merit.
That's what it is.
Okay, let's go back a couple years and see what people were saying about Venezuela.
Look at how dumb this is. Look at how dumb this is. The point about Venezuela, right over his head. I'm not saying it's a stupid talking point because Venezuela is actually awesome. I'm not saying it's a stupid talking point because, and here's a cadre of excuses for Venezuela being in the situation they're in. I'm saying it's a stupid talking point because we are not arguing. Bernie Sanders, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, myself, we are not arguing for a Venezuelan-type system. We're arguing for a Scandinavian-type system. Norway, Denmark, Sweden. You want to argue against us? Okay, argue against those systems. Argue against social democracy. Argue against what they have there. You can't do it because when you look at the studies that have been done, those places are actually kicking our ass in almost every relevant category. So look at what he does here. He brings up my point about mocking the Venezuela thing, and he acts like, no, seriously, Venezuela is bad. I didn't argue it wasn't bad. Did you even listen to the argument? Or did you just hear me say Venezuela, and then you were triggered by it, and then you just shut off the video and decided to respond and actually attack Venezuela? I wasn't defending Venezuela. Oh my God, this is the saddest thing I've ever seen.
Sanders was holding it up as an example of true socialism, as socialism working in the...
That is bullshit. Bernie Sanders has repeatedly pointed to Scandinavia as an example of what he wants the U.S. to look like. Repeatedly. They don't even bother to grapple with what we're actually saying, and it's embarrassing.
World. Well, what you see here is the equivalent of a single U.S. dollar in Venezuelan money. I don't even know how much money that is. Hundreds of tens of thousands? I don't know. Bundles of $100 bills. Just a pile of them equals one
Is this
American
almost
dollar.
over? Fuck.
That
Speed it
is
up.
socialism. What you're looking at there. And while this might be an illustrative picture of what's happening in Venezuela, of the collapse of their entire economy, there are much more graphic images that could show you the reality of socialism in a much more stark way. The images of people who don't want to be under socialism being brutally murdered.
Keep beating that straw man.
Just hordes of people leaving Venezuela.
Keep beating the straw man.
The hellish existence that has been made for them. This from a country that has on all earth. And I know the arguments because I actually listen to the other side. Unlike the other side who listens to us only to come up with lies to tell about us, I listen to them and hear their arguments. And their arguments go something like this. It's not because Venezuela...
How ironic. As he did not listen to my argument, he's acting like, I listen to the other side.
A socialist country that they failed, it's because the capitalists made them fail. Because what they think...
Wrong. I didn't say that. I said... You're bringing up Venezuela when Bernie and myself and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez never mentioned Venezuela. You mentioned Venezuela. We mentioned Scandinavia. So obviously you didn't listen. Now, putting that point aside for a second, are you denying that Venezuela is under tremendous economic sanctions from the West? Because then you're just denying a fact, and you're being a dunce. That's a fact. They're under economic siege. Now, you can argue as to how much of an effect that's actually having on their economy, in the sense that, okay, if you get rid of all the sanctions and you stop the economic siege against them, what condition would they be in? You would probably argue, hey, not too good. Guess what? I'd probably agree with you, because I don't defend Venezuela. I have no reason, I have no stake in the game when it comes to Venezuela. So stop strawmanning and start listening, as you ironically say, you don't strawman and you do listen. No, you don't, because I didn't defend Venezuela. What I said was, none of us mentioned Venezuela. You did, we mentioned Scandinavia. But you go on a long diatribe against Venezuela because you don't listen.
Happens is that when a country goes socialist and starts doing stuff for their own citizens, that major corporations will basically pull out and make it collapse because they don't.
Let me just say real quick, again, dude, how much ignorance is he showing here? He's showing so much ignorance. He doesn't know the difference between socialism, democratic socialism, social democracy. He probably couldn't make basic political distinctions. And, you know, this is what you see all the time. Alex Jones does this shit all the time, too. He just yelps away about Venezuela as if there's no distinction between Scandinavian social democracy and democratic socialism. So at least listen to what we're saying before you respond, and you didn't do that.
Want people going over to that system of economy, which to some extent is somewhat true. I'm not a big fan of big corporations going down into especially South America, Central America, and having their way with the natives with the full support of the elites of that country and of the American, capitalist pigs that are up here. I get that. I'm for that. But here's the problem. If I own a company and I've spent millions of dollars to build a plant in Venezuela, and I'm hiring tons of Venezuelan people, and I'm bringing money into that economy, and I'm an engine of productivity of this land, and then one day I get a call from my manager down there in Venezuela, and he says, hey, sorry, man, the police are here, and you don't own this anymore.
Still straw
Your factory's
manning.
gone. Sorry, it belongs to
Still
Venezuela
straw
now.
manning.
Click. Do you think I'm going to want to put money into that? Do you think it's a big conspiracy that the corporations are, they want to help their citizens, I'll pull out right away? No, it's because socialism requires the state to steal the investments of the foreigners that try to invest in the country.
Still straw
That's
manning.
why socialism fails. That's why Venezuela is failing, along with a whole host of other ideas that just by sheer coincidence seem to come along every time socialism is attempted to be enacted. My feeling about socialism is socialists are honest Democrats and dishonest communists, meaning that Democrats, if they were honest with you, really what they want is socialism, and
do we even need to play any more of this video? If Democrats were honest with you, what they really want is socialism. The majority of the Democratic Party is Republican light. Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Hillary Clinton. Are you kidding me? Barack Obama himself. These are all corporatist, neoliberal warmongers, and they can't wait to cut a deal with the Republicans and meet them halfway with their insanely far-right position. Just now, you're starting to see populist left candidates rise up. That's what Justice Democrats is about. That's Bernie Sanders. That's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. That's Kanyela Ng. That's all of our candidates, populist left. No corporate money. They take no corporate money. They fundraise just from the people. No billionaire money. They have a clear agenda that they're fighting for. They're fighting for working families of every race and background, Medicare for all, free college, living wage, end the wars, New Deal. So the fact that you're acting like, the Democrats are just socialist. What? What? What are you talking about? Even the furthest left and correct faction, the populist left, the Justice Democrats, it's social democracy. You have no clue what you're talking about, and it's embarrassing.
Socialists were honest with you. They know that the point of socialism is to usher in communism. This is the point, and it's very upsetting to see such a large...
Did he just mention communism? I have nothing to say. I have nothing to say. The entire time he strawmans me as he claims I'm strawmanning him, when I literally played almost his entire video in my video and responded to the underlying point. Joke or not, again, dude, I don't give a shit if you were joking or not. I'm going to respond to the underlying point because somebody should, because the underlying point was horrendous.
Of our population tricked into this tick-like ideology, into this ideology that makes people into ticks. That
We're back to the ticks.
Okay, so who's the tick there? Am I calling the poor people of Venezuela ticks? No, there's the tick right in the middle. All that stuff on the table there, that's the blood of his country that he's sucking away. That is the socialist tick. So for everyone out there under the age of 4 that doesn't know that socialism is bad yet, socialism is bad, you guys. It's not good. Kyle, Mr. Kulinski, whatever your name is, do something about your hair, man. Get better glasses, and you gotta get one of these things so your mic isn't.
Dude, I hope you're joking. I really hope you're joking, because do we really want to start going after looks here? I mean, you look like if Doogie Howser and Pee Wee Herman had a love child.
Like sticking up in the air, all random. It's weird. It looks weird, and the sound quality's not as good. This is just from one professional to another. I'm trying to clear the air here. I'm trying to bury the hatchet. There he is.
That's a
Stylish guy.
sexy motherfucker.
You know, lime green shirts. He knew that they were going to be the fashion before anybody else did.
That's
Lime
right, bitch.
Shirts with black neckties. Well, folks, I do want to say one thing. We have a whole new crews here. We're training.
Okay, yeah, that's done. Anyway, this is a long-ass video. I felt compelled to respond. What are you going to do with these people? Anyway, I'm going to leave that video that you just saw in the video description box. This one, you know, go ahead, leave a comment and let him know how dumb he is. Don't threaten, don't be violent. I don't think I need to tell you guys this, because I think you already are on this page that it would be a bad idea to threaten and be violent or anything like that. Yeah, but go ahead, leave a comment for him and let him know what you think of his gigantic straw man of the person who was obviously correct in this debate.